Hi guys, it's your French teacher Andrei, and in today's lesson we are going to talk about reflexive verbs. What are reflexive verbs? Reflexive verbs are those verbs which, when conjugated, use reflexive pronouns. What are reflexive pronouns then? Reflexive pronouns are these pronouns basically. Me, te, se, nous, vous. These are their forms. However, their forms can be subject to the process of elision. Do we know what is the process of elision? If not, let me explain it to you. Let's take a look at this example. S'arrêter. The thing is, why do we have an apostrophe there? Right? Because we know that the form of the verb should be se arrêter. Well, that's because the thing is, the first word ends in a vowel, which is E. The second word starts with a vowel, which is A. So, as a consequence, the thing is, we're going to take out the last vowel in the first word and you're going to replace it by an apostrophe. Well, you might ask, what about s'habiller? Because the second word starts with an H, which is not a vowel. Well, the thing is, in French, H is not really considered a letter that will be able to make a sound, to result in a sound. So it's going to be ignored. Not in writing, though. It's going to only to be ignored when pronouncing. So, in order to avoid cumbersome pronunciation, like for example, se habiller, and avoid these pauses that are unavoidable in this case, you would subject those also to the process of elision, because basically you're going to ignore that H and it's going to start with a vowel. However, you have to be careful about nous and vous, those forms, because the thing is, it is often mistaken with direct object pronouns, which are a separate class of pronouns. I'm going to also dedicate a whole video just for this topic, so subscribe to my channel to find out more about it. But let's take a look at an example. In Elle nous demande, the thing is, Elle, she, is going to start the action of asking, of demander. But she's going to ask us. She's not going to ask herself in order for it to be a reflexive pronoun, right? So if the subject performs an action that affects the subject itself, then we are using a reflexive pronoun. If not, then we are using a direct object pronoun or an indirect object pronoun. But anyway, an object pronoun, not a reflexive pronoun. See also about some verbs, some examples. Arrêter, for example, is a verb that by itself is usually used in let's say, non-reflexive forms. For example, j'arrête mon fils. Right? I am stopping my child. Right? However, it can also be used in reflexive form. Je m'arrête ici tout le temps. I stop over here because I stop myself, right? I stop over here all the time. Also, there are verbs that have to be conjugated only in reflexive form. Let's take a look. For example, se méfier, s'exclamer. Je m'exclame sur ce sujet. I am feeling aggravated, or I maintain a very strong opinion about this subject. Je m'exclame because I am starting this action of maintaining an opinion, and it's mine. It's no one else's. It doesn't affect anyone else. It only affects me, right? So basically, I am the consequence of my own action. Let's take a look at a classification of different types of reflexive verbs. You can have reflexive verbs that are passive. What does that mean? It means that the subject that does the action is not necessarily also the one that uh, started the action, right? For example, usually this goes with general truths. Let's say, cette leçon se comprend bien. What do we mean to say by that? This lesson is usually understood well, all right? So basically, it's a general truth, it's a general conclusion. We have verbs that are reflexive. So basically, as we've all seen so far, the subject does an action and it is also affected by it. La reine se regarde dans le miroir. The queen is looking in the mirror at herself. So basically, she is the one affected by her own action. The verbs can also mean a reciprocated action, right? So basically, the subject is going to start an action that affects someone else, but also in return is affected by the other person because he started that action. For example, ces deux frères se battent. These two brothers basically hit each other, right? Ils se battent mutuellement. They beat each other. Then we also have, lastly, the verbs that are pronominally subjective. So basically, the subject is not going to be affected uh, by the action of the subject, right? For example, we have se moquer. Marc se moque de son frère. Mark is going to basically make fun of someone else, right? But the way we say that in French is se moquer. These are very few cases though. So you have to understand them through practice, which is why you should check out this challenge. Which is why you should check out this challenge. Which is why you should check out this challenge. Which is why you should check out this challenge. Which is why you should